What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today we are in the garage with Jesse from Trash Panda.
We're here.
Dude, man.
I'll say it for you. 4 years and counting,
Yeah.
we've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah. The first person who believed in this channel being what it is today was you. So, grateful to be here. But I'm a Trash Panda from the beginning. And so I remember the days of his first video of testing out putters. Unlike all of you, there are lots of folks who were like, I remember the first video when he made the dip. Bro,
Yeah.
You were too far in the process. I remember testing out putters in the garage, and this isn't even the OG garage. So after the intro, we're going to do a little outfit change to commemorate that.
Yes.
But
We being Robbie.
just me.
Robbie's
Yeah.
definition of we.
So we're going to ask, who do you want to see how they're doing today?
Oh, Brian.
How you doing today, Brian? You having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
Straight out of the straight out of the closet into the bag to travel, into here, wrinkles and everything.
We're here.
This is the OG garage shirt.
Yeah.
Side guy, I'll let you do your thing. Hopefully it's in frame. If not, you'll let me know and I'll send you a picture. Yeah, so here we are. Jesse, you have a really expensive machine that does this so much easier
Yes.
for some reason, for some parts. That was something we were talking about on the drive from the airport to here, is like, there are parts of this that are easier
Yes.
and there are parts that are so much harder.
Totally. But like net positive to the new machine.
Okay.
All day.
Yeah. Do you remember the days of when you thought, yeah, I'm gonna, two things I think about this machine. I think about when you were like, yeah, I'm gonna run a whole business doing this. And then minis came around and it was like,
I mean, we ran 5,000 minis by hand off this machine. So the first 5,000 ever were made individually by hand.
Yeah.
So there was an operable business, but there was no sustainability as far as energy, as far as efficiency, etc. So
yeah. I mean, manpower wise, there was a time that you, there was an employee who literally came to your house
here
and worked in the
to do
garage.
that. Yeah.
Like, that's such crazy. I also, another fact that like people may not remember, I remember when there was a dream of you were going to be able to build more machines like this
To be able to
sell those to people.
To sell those to people, I actually did for a minute. Not people who would make discs, just to other people. That was one of the ways that I hustled Trash Panda early on. It was just to people who would recycle plastic. And then also to be able to come hand make your own disc. But it's a dangerous process. The machine can break at any moment. It breaks, honestly, all the time. Full disclosure, Robbie, I have not spent much time in this garage thinking about Trash Panda since we moved into our first warehouse, which was right at the Intercore launch. So,
Literal years.
yes, I've had one of my employees in particular has nagged me to come back and make some products here because people would love it so much. And I've said no to every opportunity until you asked for it. And I was like, Robbie, I can't say no to you. Let's do it. So is it traumatic? Absolutely. Am I stoked? Yes. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's make a disc. Where do we start?
So there are, I'm not joking, there are 25 things that could go wrong today with this.
Great.
So in the future, we'll look back and see whether we actually made a disc or not. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with heating up the machine.
Okay.
And then we'll go through all of the pieces of the process. But I think we can talk about it after we just start heating it up.
Yeah, let's do
So
it.
do you remember from the videos how to do this?
I just press the button, right? I just press these two?
Yeah. Now stand clear. It shouldn't, but it could. You know what I mean? So first things first, we're going to warm up the machine. And in a few minutes, we'll be able to tell whether or not it's actually working. Some of the band heaters could have gone out in the literal years that have elapsed since I made something on this previously. They shouldn't have, so we'll see. If it heats up all right, then we're gonna warm up the mold, which we can actually start doing right now.
Yeah.
You wanna put the mold inside, well, first, do you wanna show everyone the mold?
Yeah. What's wild is I remember seeing this mold and being like, wow. I mean, guys, this thing has some heft to it.
It's like about 14 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this and being like, that's so crazy. This is what it takes to make a disc.
Yeah.
And now that you have the big boy machine,
700 pound mold.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
You need like a forklift to get
You
the other
actually need a forklift or a crane to operate with an injection machine. But yeah, this was, I mean, it was very big at one point, and I was like, that's crazy. But this is also aluminum. Steel is heavier. Those molds are steel. So fundamentally, the same thing's going on inside of here that's going on in the big machine, which is inside of this block, there's a cavity that's the shape of a disc. And that gets injected from here, filled with molten plastic. So first off, do you know what mold this is?
This is the inner core.
No, I'm taking you on a journey. This is not.
This was what inspired the current inner core, right?
You can actually choose what you want to make. This is the mid-range prototype, which is not even close to the Dune.
Yeah.
But we got this around the point that I started getting very tired of being in the garage and trying to prototype stuff. So there's like 5 of these in the world in existence.
Yeah.
We could do that. We can also go with the inner core prototype. For nostalgia, you want to go with number 1?
I feel like we got to go with number 1.
All right, chuck it.
Yeah.
So at one point, I had a whole setup for all of the pieces of this, and all of that is at our warehouse. So we are missing some crucial tools that we're just going to go for it, and we're going to see what happens.
Because this one doesn't have one of these things.
Yes. So
a fill point? What is this called?
You can call it whatever you'd like to fill it.
What is the technical name for it?
Injection point.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That was close. I had half of it, right?
This is technically on a mold nowadays. This would be the sprue bushing would actually be like an appropriate, I mean,
okay.
It's kind of whatever you want.
I'm not trying to offend the nation here. We did have this realization when driving from the airport of like, oh, some of these tools that we're looking for are where they actually make this now.
Yeah, we don't have some of the crucial pieces to this whole thing. So one of the things I've learned since starting to make discs more officially, but even so, without that, is modifications are in many ways the name of the game.
Okay.
Here we are having to make a modification
right off the bat.
Yeah. Crazy. That's just crazy. And it's so real for how this thing goes.
Like the inner core has less nuts and bolts. Was this something you learned later on down the road that like this helps it stay tighter?
That's a great question. Yes, basically the clamping force on this is all of these different bolts, whereas on an injection machine, the clamping force is like 225 tons of pressure. So we added some on this as opposed to on this guy, just to give it a little more like structural integrity to the mold itself.
Yeah.
But what's also very interesting is on most molds, there's also air vents for air to get out, because you have air filling the cavity and then you fill it with liquid plastic, molten plastic. The air has to go somewhere, so there's these tiny channels machined out of molds.
Yeah.
In these,
there is no vents.
Well, the aluminum would deflect enough and the bolts were far enough apart that air can get out between those.
Okay.
So
you were low-key genius without realizing that you were?
No.
That's what I'm hearing.
What I'm trying to say is there was a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it, and this was the wrong way to do it. Mold modification complete. As you can see, fun fact, V4. This is V4 of the putter prototype. What would follow this is the inner core. So the inner core is a very slightly different version of this. basically simply due to the density of the material that we used when we initially started prototyping. The cavity here is much bigger than the final product, which was the inner core. But they're by and large the same disc. You've thrown
I've thrown
the
both.
prototype.
Yeah.
You've thrown.
I think, to me, the proto, and I don't know if it was the plastic or what, but the proto was more overstable than a traditional inner core.
Yeah. I think there could be a million reasons why that would be the case, and we'll never know. But
never know.
I think they all technically flew differently. At one point, I was dialed on all of the process, and now I'm not so sure. But I took notes previously, which is great. And the notes I have say, for this material we're going to use, Robbie, look at this. It says 215 grams, which you can barely see.
Yeah.
12 something and pre something. So we're shooting a little bit in the dark, but I believe that's 215
Is
grams
that what
of the
you
material.
had them send a picture of?
Yes.
That was in the...
It's at the warehouse. Yes.
So before we started recording, he called someone who's at the warehouse, I'm assuming Kyle, and said, hey,
Send me a picture.
I'm gonna have an odd question to ask. And I was looking down at the time, and I thought he was asking me that, and I was like, fire away. And then he was on the phone, and he's like, I need you to go to the Husky workbench, and it's probably
Not this Husky
it's probably
workbench, the
yeah.
one at the warehouse. Yep.
And so
yep.
he's like, I need you to go. I need you to take a picture. It's probably underneath this thing, but it's on top of the workbench. And so that's the picture.
But it's been smeared off. So we don't fully know, but basically I think we go with this guy. It's interesting knowing what I know now. I would really never preheat a mold as far as the industrial setup's concerned. You're actually trying to regulate the temperature down.
Yeah.
But here, I think we're at a pretty good pace. I would say we'll just go at the lowest rate because, again, in the shop we have now, I'm not preheating the mold, but here we're trying to help the plastic flow.
Yeah.
And we only have this much pressure pushing it in. So a little bit of heat will help it go through. I think we go about 200 and we'll just put this guy on.
I also like the additional, because there are notches in this toaster oven, but I like that it's hard to see those notches, so you've extended them with some Sharpie. Modification, some might say.
I think you used the word genius earlier. And,
yeah, it's very, I literally, when I saw this one, I thought it was just part of it. This one you got a little squirrely on. Just it's a little more.
I got this on OfferUp. Now we have an industrial dryer. I would dry the plastic in here. We're going to use a plastic today that doesn't need to be dried. It's not hygroscopic, but I would dry in here. It was, I still can't believe it.
Can I show them the
Yeah.
mini mold?
Yeah.
So the mini mold, you have handmade in Colorado, saying it right, and then the top, which
is reversed.
Yeah.
It's mirrored, to be clear, because if it wasn't, then it would come out
Backwards.
incorrect. Yep.
Yeah. So.
There are air vents.
Oh,
See those?
okay, so that's what those are.
Those are air vents. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because we got smart.
Yeah.
Leading up to what became the inner core is right here in the garage, starting with number 1, and then you know that one very well, Robbie, and then ending with what was the perfect, actual disc. This was the first one I ever made where I was like, this is a disc. This is actually a disc. And this is when we took it to full production scale. Because at that point, making a 5,000 minis, and we'd actually done more minis than that at that point, I knew there was no way we could make as many of these as we needed to. So, yeah.
I'll tell you, the one that's on this shelf that I recognize and I fell in love with was these. I remember because these came to the farm when we met up with Overthrow.
Yep.
And I remember throwing this
Bubblegum Galaxy.
so fun, so beautifully, and being like, I can't wait.
Let me just say, I think you'll like this.
This is, I'm looking forward to it. So we think that
Just as a reminder,
it should come out
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
But
you never know.
just as another reminder, the whole thing could fall apart any moment too.
Disclaimer.
So one of the things on that photo that was mentioned is that 215 grams. So we need 215 grams of this to be able to inject a good disc.
Yeah.
One of the things we're missing is a scale. So we're gonna guess on that one.
Great.
And then among the other things we're missing is a temperature reader where we can see if all these band heaters are working.
Okay. Yeah.
DVD.
I can already tell just even in lifting it up. Like I remember talking to Jesse when he was in the garage. We were talking on a weekly basis. Our schedules had not gotten that insane yet. And I remember, hey, I'm not going to be able to chat next week because I'm going to be making minis. And I was like, well, I can just call while you're making minis. And hearing him grunt while he's on the phone, like, and I was like, oh, he must be on the downward spiral. He makes this look so smooth, and I was like, yeah, he's going to be jacked.
It was, if people can see, this bar is not filling out the tube as much because it's basically like got this system where at the very bottom of it, I've welded on something that does fill it out perfectly.
Gotcha.
So there is a piece at the bottom that perfectly fits inside. Here
Yeah.
you can see that perfectly fits right there where that doesn't. And that's because of friction. So this piece is what's creating friction.
Okay.
I at first had it the whole way.
Yeah.
The farther down you went,
Yeah.
the more friction it created as you came back up. And at a certain point, I would go down all the way and it was virtually impossible to get it back up. It was a deadlift followed by like a shoulder press, and it was rough. I will say there are some fond memories going on. There's some fond feelings.
We wouldn't have this
Yeah.
without this.
Yes. Agreed.
So wrinkly shirt was necessary.
You would not have my head without his butt. I remember this.
Okay.
I was there the whole time.
Yeah.
But you were there from afar. Do you remember, like, does anything look different than you thought? Like, is this smaller than you thought it was? Does it look the same?
Yeah.
What's like, are you feeling any of that with what you saw visually?
Yeah. So the bar is smaller than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
The bar smaller than I thought it would be, and I thought that this point would be like larger.
Huh.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
kind of thought it would like all be bigger, which is like what, but it makes sense. Like standing here now being like, okay, yeah, that process, that makes a lot of sense.
This is the size of a disc. Like the bar, this whole tube
Yeah.
is sized for a disc
Okay.
specifically with that 1 inch inside diameter. If we went with a bigger tube, it could be a lot smaller.
Yeah.
But plastic melting would be relatively non-homogeneous, whereas with this, it's small enough that it's homogeneous.
Yeah.
And then this,
Because this also made it so you could pump out, what was it, like 3 or 4 minis
7.
with this barrel? Okay.
7, yeah.
7 with this barrel.
7 minis, and then this all the way up will hit that rafter.
Okay.
And all the way down, it'll hit the concrete. So this is pretty much maximum capacity for at least the leverage point that it has.
Yeah.
If that was changed, it could be different.
Yeah.
And the longer this is, the easier it is to inject.
Yeah.
But right now, I think you'll find it's pretty
Sturdy.
easy.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Yeah. No, it just brings back, just, yeah, like you said, like the smell brought back a flood of memories for you being in it.
Yeah.
The visuals are just like, I mean, there's the feeling of you open the toaster oven and you see the mold being slid out and like you see the gloves. And
Yeah.
It's really, I think one of the coolest moments of being an OG watcher in the first garage and then coming to this garage, seeing the signs from the course, that's super cool. The mini shelf,
Empty.
dude. Yeah, I mean, just being in this garage is before the warehouse and all that. Like,
Yeah.
it's fun going to, because you've been to my house, so you saw the basement with the board game wall and all that. It's just a different experience for a creator, yeah, that you've watched. And there's one thing too, we talked about this in the car today, like there are courses that I've played that you're like, oh, I know that course,
Yeah.
even though I didn't go play it.
Yeah.
When you watch Foundation, you know their courses. It's just entirely different for those other outside the course moments.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you to see the warehouse too.
Dude,
Coming
I'm
up.
Stoked. Yeah. I'm
Because
stoked for y'all to see the warehouse.
It's
maybe.
it's true pendulum swing, one side to the other. It's no middle ground. It's 0 to 100. So it's fun.
It's going to be awesome.
First things first, here you go.
Safety.
So what we're gonna do, we think all the band heaters are working.
Okay.
One of the tools that's missing is the little temperature sensor to see
Yeah.
if all the band heaters are working. But based on how this bar is moving up and down, that tells me that they should all be working.
Okay.
Because it would be really hard to move it around if
Yeah.
they weren't.
That makes
So
sense.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift the plunger out.
Okay. Put
we're
it in
gonna
the little hole.
Exactly.
Okay.
We're gonna fill the whole barrel, but that's not gonna fill. So we're gonna put the plunger back in, press it down, and do it again.
Okay.
That should get us close to 215 grams because we don't know the scale.
Okay.
If my memory serves correctly, we'll be dialed.
Okay.
So if you want to lift that guy up and just make sure this whole time not to touch any of that. There you go.
Well, I can touch it. It just would be a bad decision.
Yes. And even this is
also
hot.
really
Yeah.
hot. Yeah.
So you'll still need to touch it, but I can do it for you. And I'll move it in place. Keep going up.
Whoop. There it is.
You're
okay.
good. Yep, there you go.
Bank. Okay.
Boom.
Bank.
All
Yeah,
right.
I can literally feel the heat
Yeah.
like moving through the gloves.
It's hot. It's very
okay.
hot. So you'll pour this like pretty slowly. You'll be able to see like if you pour it all at once, because it's regrind, it'll do this thing called bridging,
Okay.
which means it will just like stop in the funnel and won't go down.
Yeah.
So if you just pour a few pellets in like super slow, you can see that like, yeah. And if you go too far, we'll just press it down with some other tools.
It's kind of
You're gonna
maneuvering
push-
around. Okay.
push down.
Push. Yeah. Okay. I think we're there.
Are we full? Yeah, give her one more push. And then go ahead and just take it off. We want it to evenly melt, so
Okay.
relatively quickly go ahead and put that on the table or wherever.
Okay.
Yep, that's good.
And
And then you're gonna push it back.
here.
Higher is cooler,
Okay.
so you're just gonna lift. Yep.
Y'all, I'm 6'3" and I'm still like reaching. Okay, so we're just pulling down.
Yep. And don't pull too hard.
Okay.
And keep in mind, the farther your arms are that way, the easier it is.
Yeah, I mean this part is going down real smooth.
Good. That means it's also not full.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get it down a decent way.
Okay.
Keep jamming.
Until I kind of hit a wall.
Yep.
And then push through. Okay.
There you go. Go
There's
ahead and
some
pull it
tension.
back up.
Okay. So we're gonna do this at least twice.
We'll see. It's all based on my memory, and at this point, you know.
Okay.
I would guess you're pretty close to full.
Yeah.
Go ahead and pull that guy off of there.
Yeah, his machine, guys. You know, he can give it the beans.
The muscle memory right there was alarming. Let's go again. It's probably
Well, pretty close.
a lot a bit more, but it's yeah. Here, we'll go again. Boom.
Yeah, it is a lot a bit more.
Hold one sec.
Yeah.
It's probably good. I'll just
Okay.
jam it super quick again. We'll go one more of those.
Okay.
Of all the things that we also don't know is I don't remember exactly how much time I left it in for. I think it was around 10 minutes.
Okay.
We're gonna go with 10. We're gonna see what happens.
Okay. So we'll see you guys in 10.
Cooking show.
So this has been heating up. We got some good stuff cooking in there. The mold's been cooking the whole time. So the next two steps are we're going to unscrew this little bolt at the bottom. And we're going to grab the mold out of the oven, spin it on, and then send it.
You can do this. I can leave, honestly. You're killing it. The only thing the trickiest thing that I probably will go ahead and do myself is spinning the mold on the bottom.
Okay.
It's practically impossible.
Okay.
We just want to see if we can get a little plastic out the bottom first.
Yeah.
And make sure it's melted. So let me grab the mold. It's
we're
go
on.
time.
All right.
Let's see it.
Nice
Go ahead.
thing is,
Give it some weight. Give it some weight. Yep. Yep, you're going. All your weight. Yep. You feeling it?
oh my! All right, here we go.
This is the easiest part. When you get on top
once
of
you're
it.
on top of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Okay.
You can step back and I'll go. But this is called pack and hold. That's an injection molding term. This is the broken down way. Dude, I haven't done that in so long. What'd you think?
That's, whoo!
Were you expecting it to be that hard?
No. Based on how easy it was to pull it, like, for the first little bit, and then as soon as the mold got on,
Yeah.
the pressure required just, like, quadrupled?
It's your body weight.
Yeah, like,
It's just, and both of ours.
yeah, like we both, I cannot imagine for the first time how many times it got stuck with you by yourself, like, I think I'm not, like, just not pushing it fast enough.
Yeah.
And then, like,
There literally was a problem every single day. And the crazy part is, like, that's being an entrepreneur. That's the game, is like moving from one problem to another. And so, yes, it's like ridiculous. And how did that happen?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, that's just repetition.
Yeah.
It's just doing it over and over. And there's certain things that have weirdly come back to me as soon as we started doing these different things. You could see my muscle memory just take over.
Yeah.
And it's probably better if we'd done like, here, I'll show you one and then you do one.
Nah.
But realistically, I feel like this, again, it could break at any moment and we just don't know how much time we have. So it's like, let's do what we can.
Yeah.
I will say, we don't know.
We don't know if
that's
it
a
actually
perfect
did
disc.
it. Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take that off,
Okay.
rehook it up,
Yeah.
fill it back up,
Okay.
get the next shot ready.
Okay.
We'll open this up while that's melting,
Okay.
see if this worked. Best case scenario, maybe we get 2 discs.
Yeah.
No chance. Worst case scenario, we'll be ready with another one.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Okay.
And it'll fall on its own if you don't.
Yeah. That's why I'm being real careful to, like, be ready to catch. There it is. Okay.
Let's see it. What do you think?
I mean, there's plastic inside of it. We can see the nozzle there. It feels like we have a disc. That's my belief. I'm injecting positivity.
Sometimes you have to believe if you want to achieve.
Now hold up. Before we showcase the fruit of our labor and what actually went down, I want to show you, we're here in the warehouse. We got the big machine back there. I want to show you like the proper way to make a disc, because I'm not entirely sure that we're achieving that in the garage right now, but Jesse's doing incredible work inside the warehouse. So I wanted him to give a tour, kind of in reflection of lessons he's learned from the garage to a huge injection molding machine. Let's jump in. All right, so here we are in the warehouse. I'll be honest though, this machine, intimidating. So I'm gonna get out of the way and let Jesse kind of showcase, show and tell. Yeah. How do we build a disc with a real machine instead of
Yeah.
levers?
It honestly, I'm so grateful that we're doing this on the same day, because there's so much that is so similar about this outside of the look. The look, it looks so complex,
Yeah.
but really to the garage, it's the same thing happening. So if you remember, in the garage, there's a barrel. Inside of that barrel goes plastic. On the outside of that barrel, there's band heaters. And then you just inject that with a lever, obviously, into a mold. In this machine, you've got a barrel. On the outside of this barrel, what you can't see because they're insulated, are band heaters. So you can actually see a couple right here. Those literally should look exactly like what we have in the garage, because they are exactly what we have in the garage. You've got a barrel, you got a hopper, not a little dinky thing that you hand pour into, but a little bit better of a hopper. That all flows then through into this mold. This is a mold cavity. Obviously, this mold looks a little bit different than what we saw in the garage, but
Just a little bit.
This is the ozone mold, and it's probably north of 700 pounds of steel. And instead of grade 8 bolts and nuts, you have this entire half of the machine that clamps it closed and opens it.
With these big.
These are called tie bars. So
Okay.
close. You were going to say that, weren't you?
I was going to say steel bars, but I had half of it.
And then you've got these massive platens that the molds fit up to as well. So these
Okay.
two things, this is the stationary, this is the moving that goes back and forth.
Yeah.
The platens are designed so that you can have different molds. So we can run the inner core, we can run other products in here, stuff like that.
So the mold itself is from here, like it's that metal piece.
This is a mold clamp, and these are mold clamps.
Okay.
So it's this metal and this metal all the way in. So this flat piece here is the
Yeah.
platen, and then everything else is mold.
Okay. So where do I put my full body weight in to make the disc?
So that is, I would say, so I think there's two major differences with this machine and the one in the garage. And I'm saying major differences. Obviously there's 100 tiny ones. You can program every single piece of the process on this machine, as opposed to, all these pages do different things and you can do different stuff. It's crazy. But on the machine at the house, to change parameters like that, you'd have to
Physically.
manually change it or something like that. But very high level, there's two primary components. The first one is there's nowhere to put your body weight. There's no truly manual part of this process, which is crazy to even compare it to something like that. But the other one is that inside of the barrel in the machine, there was just empty space and then a plunger, and the plunger pushed plastic through. Inside of this barrel, there's actually a screw. And if you're thinking of like a wood screw, you're thinking of the right thing. It's a screw that has these flutes, and as it spins, it moves the plastic forward from point A through to point B, being the end of the nozzle. And as that spins, it pushes the plastic forward, which actually creates friction, which is where most of the heat that melts the plastic comes from. So the heater bands actually don't do as much as the friction from just pushing it forward. Fundamentally, I have a mold. Inside of that mold is open space. There's a cavity. There's an empty space that's in the shape of a disc. And I have a contraption that pushes molten plastic into that mold. Whether that contraption is this or this super Flintstonesy contraption in the garage, whatever it is, It's all brute force, trial and error, problem solving, iterating over and over.
And instead of a microwave oven, essentially.
Oh yeah, there's
you've
another
got-
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got
So
a chiller to help keep the machine cold.
yeah, there's some. So yeah, I guess I never thought about it that way, but we did have ancillary equipment in the garage.
Yeah.
Ancillary equipment included drills, which we didn't have today. Ancillary equipment included all the tools which we didn't have today when we were making
A
stuff. which I could
blowtorch
sh-
to heat things
I
up.
could show you. It's all here. But also, yeah, the toaster oven,
Yeah.
which this is basically an industrial toaster oven. I wouldn't suggest toasting anything in here, but this is where the plastic dries, because specifically premium plastic, most premium plastic is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the air. So if you put it straight in the machine, it'd just boil up. So this helps get rid of the moisture, and then it acts on its own. I just never would have in a million years thought that was a thing with plastic. That one
Yeah.
type of plastic absorbed moisture and another type of plastic didn't.
Repels it, yeah.
And like that affected things here, but you'll never notice that with the weight of a disc. Like one disc that doesn't have, like that's totally just out of the machine dry, no moisture, and one that's got moisture because it was in Alabama during
Yeah.
summer, those two are going to weigh the same.
Yeah.
It's microscopic.
Dude, and like, I mean, even Jesse was explaining the chiller here to me, and it regulates kind of the heat of the machine. And it's like, okay, well, why do you need that? Just run it for a certain amount of time and then let it cool off, whatever. But if you're trying to like keep up with production demands, which
Yeah.
all of you manufacturers are, then a disc would be cooked at 100 degrees and a good disc would be cooked at 300 degrees, was your example.
Yeah.
And those could fly different out of the same mold.
It's technically you can run a hose into the machine to regulate temperature.
Yeah.
This is made to recycle that water through.
Mm.
And I say the word recycle and it probably sounds like, classic Trash Panda, but it's everyone does that because it would cost so much and be so wasteful to just run water through and then dump it out the back versus recycling it through here. This is a much more economical way to do things, even though this costs as much as a car.
Yeah. It'd be that way.
And not a beat up car, not a junky car.
Not your first car.
Yeah. Yes, you have the chiller that's regulating the temperature, but you also have a thing called the TCU that's regulating temperature. And specifically, this is regulating the temperature of, if you want to step back here, Robbie.
Yeah.
Specifically, this is regulating the temperature of the mold. So you can see there's actually water channels throughout the mold. It's going to beep at us, but we'll deal with it. There's water channels actually running through the mold that are regulating the temperature of this steel so that you can run a consistent 500 degree plastic into there, yet the mold stays at 80 degrees or something like that.
Yeah. That was one of the most fascinating things of pulling it off of the mold, is in handling the mold in the garage. I was like,
Yeah.
this is very hot.
Yeah.
I learned that after touching it without a glove.
Multiple times.
Whereas this is like,
It was
I
colder
could
than it
touch
was
the-
in here.
yeah, the mold actually felt colder than even the disc coming off of
100%.
it. So
100%.
wild.
Yeah, crazy. So there is one other thing, and it's post-processing. And we recently added the capability of being able to stamp, and we use a hot stamper to ghost stamp discs. You want to try to ghost stamp a disc?
We can try to go stamp a disc. Yeah.
Here, hold on.
You guys are not ready for this.
What you're going to do is you're going to put it here. I'll put it here. And then you're going to press these buttons at the same time.
Okay.
You have to love a foolproof machine that makes it so you can't have your hand under there while pressing one button, because
Yeah.
you have to press both. I gotta love just a smart engineer who was like, I'm not going to be liable for
Yeah,
that.
that's not gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll press both those buttons, and
Okay.
you got to just press them, not like just
Yeah,
like press
hold
them,
'em, yeah.
and then like you can press and let go.
Yeah.
And give me that guy. How's it look?
I didn't realize you put it on there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is a Robbie C Red Ozone
With the Robbie C Ghost
with
stamp.
the Robbie C Ghost stamp. You sneaky dog.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. That's so cool.
I didn't tell you, and I was like, do you want to try one? You're like, yeah, I mean, sure, we could try one. Like, I don't really want to.
It's not going to get cooler than this in this moment for me. So I guess we got to go back to the garage to show what happened. You feel good about it?
I feel great about it.
So spoiler alert. The hope is that I mean, not even a hope. The reality, we're going to have Robbie C Ghost stamped Ozones, because I am loving this disc, available at Foundation Discs in the near future. So y'all get hyped. That's so cool. Check it out. It's going to be incredible. And hopefully we have an incredible disc waiting for us in the garage. There she is. Okay.
Look at that form.
Yeah, we can get all the way around on that. Boop. We're going to do that one again just for posterity's sake. Whoop. Okay.
The moment of truth. Bro, we did it. No way.
That's so sick!
I was confident it wouldn't work.
So do I just pull it?
Yep. No time to celebrate. We got to get ready for the next one. Here, I'll grab some gloves and I'll help you. It's best to pry it out.
Yeah. Oh. There's a little...
You just got to be careful due to...
Because
it'll scratch it. Yeah, you've got a full non-rim. I'll put it back together.
Y'all, not only is it not perfect, it is super thin.
This is why we prepped the next one. It's actually, you know what's interesting? It's not extra thin. It's that
it's so
once you fill the rim, it adds rigidity that you don't get without a full rim. So as soon as that rim fills out, that rigidity is much more substantial.
Y'all, she's beautiful.
It's at least a wall hanger.
It's at least a wall. I mean, for sure. That's sick, y'all.
So I would love for you to be able to hang on this thing. I think you can do it with your body weight, but just again, I'll say it, gradual.
Yeah.
You got to give it a lot of weight.
Slowly let the legs,
But you got to give it a lot of weight. Just don't go like, boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can bend this bar too.
Yeah.
It's more just going down. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, dude. You got it. Yep.
There she is.
Feels like a little non-melt in there, but that's okay. We got it through.
Okay. Here we go. We're on top of it now.
Yeah, that's non-melt, but that's okay. Keep going. Keep going. All right. You're probably there.
Okay.
Now stand up and hold it with your toes. And then tell the people how that was. Look how red he is.
The veins in my neck are just like... Just getting them loose. Loose enough to where we can get the fingers going. Okay. There she is. Okay. One. Oh. Well, she's trying to come out. Alrighty. Dude. That's a Frisbee right there. And it looks significantly better than the first one already.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Go over a little bit more. Perfect. That's good. You don't need any more. Your hands will do the rest. And then you're going to lift. You're going to put your fingers in here to help lift the center. Careful there.
Yeah, I don't want to like...
Yeah, you don't want to rip that out. And that could just be... Let me try that.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It was just a little... I mean...
I think it's a disc. It looks perfect.
It looks perfect. The rim, like, little bit of, like, No, but that's even just how it
No,
got
that's-
ejected. Like,
that's
there's a little bit of
normal.
flash. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
dude.
I'm not joking. Out of all of the ones I've made, I'm a little jealous right now. I think that looks like
it's your plastic.
no.
so
Get out of here. Get out of here. All right, we're getting too excited. This needs to be ready for the next injection.
Okay,
we gotta go.
We gotta go. I believe.
Okay, I'm gonna need you.
The professional.
Yep. Heck yeah, dude, that's crazy. It's pretty strong.
It's.
Two people. Okay, I can get it now.
Okay. Why
This
are your
was-
arms so sore?
This was only a plastic that I prototyped.
Yeah.
It was never a plastic that I ran a bunch of.
Yeah.
Minis, we used an easier to inject plastic. And man,
Yeah. It's from these run. Oh my gosh, we did it again.
I think we did it again.
Watch it just be, I mean, just tremendous.
We could film the entirety of your birdie talks with these.
Yeah.
Because we're going to do it on the putter course.
Yeah.
Will that be out before this video?
Probably after.
Subscribe.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video, y'all. What a wild, I mean, I'm going to be honest. This is my first day in Denver. And it has taken expectations and just soared way past them. So, Jesse, you're the man.
It's all downhill from here.
Hopefully, because we're throwing down mountains. It'll
Yeah,
be great.
yeah,
So, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Tried to give a little bit of a different take, as Jesse, just continues to be so big and so famous that people are traveling from all over the world to come visit the warehouse.
No one gets to come
We
to my
wanted
house,
to
though.
give you something different, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was a fun walk through history. It was fun to relive the sense and the struggles, and yeah. So, hope you have a great rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're going to leave you with the birdie.
We're going to leave you with the birdie. I thought I was going to get to say it.